it's time for example 3. In this table, we actually have decimals this time. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase my checklist and then start over with number 1. So number 1 reads, step 1, label the X and Y in your table. All right, I'll go over and do that. So I'm going to grab the typing tool and I'm going to get rid of these question details. Okay, that looks better. Grab the typing tool, and remember, in a vertical table, the column on the left we label X, and the column on the right we label Y. These values on the right are the Y values, and the values on the left over here are our X values. So 3.5 is an X value, 2.5 is an X value. And then we come over to our checklist, and step 2 says choose a coordinate. So I come back over to my example, and I'm going to choose a coordinate. Now, I think it's easiest if you use the smallest numbers. I think it usually is easier when you're dividing. All right, so I chose a point, and that point, I'll type this, is 1.5, comma, 67.05, end parentheses. And then I come back over to my checklist, and the next step is label the coordinate. So I'm going to label this X. That's correct. Label this Y. Do you see how careful I'm being so I don't make a mistake? Then I look at what X, the 1.5, represents. It represents hours. I'll type that below. And the 67.05 represents dollars. All right, we're ready for the next part of the checklist. Fill in the unit rate formula. So now we're going to find the unit rate, and then from there we can easily find the equation. So I grab the scribble tool, and I'm going to write equals, draw my fraction bar, write in the word per to go with the fraction bar, and then I'll grab a new color, and I am first looking for my Y value. So I look over here, my Y value is $67.05, so I'll type that in the numerator. $67.05. And then I grab another color, and I'm looking for the X value now, and our X value is 1.5 hours. So I go back to the typing tool, and I'll type in the denominator 1.5 hours. So $67.05 every 1.5 hours. That's a rate, but it's not a unit rate. To find a unit rate, you divide. So I'm going to take the 67.5, the numerator goes underneath our division symbol, and then the denominator goes on the outside. When you're dividing with decimals, you really need to pay attention and just check the number on the outside. If the number on the outside contains a decimal, you have to move that decimal. And our number on the outside does contain a decimal. So to get rid of it, in a sense, we are going to move that to the right. Essentially, we're multiplying the denominator by 10. So if you multiply the denominator by 10, to keep the ratio the same, we also have to multiply the numerator by 10. So we also have to move this decimal place over once to keep the ratio equivalent. Now, 1.5 times 10 gives us 15 on the outside. When you have a decimal on the right side, that's the same as 15.0, or just, you can write 15. And then underneath our division symbol, we now have 670, and the decimal moved here, because multiplying 67.05 times 10 gives you 670.5. Like I said before, you just have to check the number on the outside. Now look at it. There's no decimal here. On the inside, it doesn't matter. You see that there's a decimal on the inside, but we're ready to divide. So let's go ahead and see how many times 15 goes into 6, and that would be 0 times. So we move on to 67. 15 goes into 67. Well, let me write out my multiples of 15. I think that will help us. It's very important that you're able to count by 15s. That's going to help you a lot on your EOG. So 15 plus 15 is 30, plus another 15 is 45, plus another 15 is 60, whoops, plus another 15 is 75, plus another 15 is 90, plus another 15 is 105, plus another 15 is 120, and hopefully that will be enough. We can continue our multiples if we need to. Now, 15 goes into 67. Well, 75 is too much, 60 will work. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 15s. 4 times 15 is 60. The multiplication goes underneath and you subtract. 7 minus 0 is 7, 6 minus 6 is 0. And then you can't ask the question again until you bring a number down. All right, 15 goes into 70. How many times? The answer to that question is going to go up here. So 75 is too much, so again, we're going to use 60, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4 15s. So 15 goes into 70 4 times, and then the multiplication, 4 times 15 is 60, goes below, and you subtract it from this value, the 70. 70 minus 60 is 10, and then I'm noticing that I'm at the decimal. I actually should have at the beginning put the decimal at the top. Sorry about that. I would like you at the very beginning to put the decimal at the top. I'll do that in the next video. Now we bring the 5 down. 15 goes into 105. Well, there's 105. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 15s give us 105. So 15 goes into 105 7 times. 7 times 15, the multiplication goes below. 7 times 15 is 105. We subtract. And the remainder is 0. There's nothing to bring down. So our answer is 44.7. That is the unit rate. So 44.7, and it's DPH, dollars per hour. So $44.70 per hour. All right, now for the equation. What we're going to do is we're going to take out the K, so delete, we're going to delete the K, so I'll go over to the K, delete the K, and instead I'll put in our unit rate, 44.7. Because remember, K represents the word constant, and it is the variable we use to represent the unit rate. If I would have chosen this point or this point, I would have still gotten the unit rate of 44.7, because in a proportional relationship, the unit rate is always the same. So we have our equation, we have our unit rate, we have completed number 3.